Hello, BadCameo Funk Train passengers, and welcome to the second ever installment of our Pro Tools session breakdown. The last one, we took a look at our new single, So Cold, and today we got a really fun one. It's called F.A.N, and if you've ever been to one of our shows, especially one of the raunchier ones like at a bar or a cooking live venue, something like that, you've no doubt heard this song. But for those of you who haven't, you're in for a real treat. It's a simple, fun, just good old-fashioned rock and roll song written by our former guitarist Will Huseman and finished up by us. So let's just jump right in and take a listen to the song if you haven't heard it already. If you have, I'll drop a timestamp below so you can skip right ahead and we can get into the juicy stuff. So enjoy.
So it's for you all.
Wow. What a banger. This song was really fun to put together. It's just good, honest fun, you know? So up on the screen here, we've got a bird's eye view of the whole session. Everything's in folders. We got drums, tambourine, our claps, bass track, a couple guitar tracks, keyboards, vocals, ambience tracks, which we'll dive into a little bit more. You'll find out what that means. And some gang vocals, group vocals at that chant there in the middle. So let's jump right in. Let's start with the ambience, actually. And the crowd noise at the very beginning, where they're chanting encore, encore. That was from a real-life BadCameo show. And no, this was not a live recording, but we did use that audio from an actual show that we did. And that show was us playing live at the Evening Muse on February 29th, right before COVID really hit. This was 2020. And for those of you who were at that show, you definitely heard F.A.N, and it was a great night. We've got the whole concert actually up on YouTube, and the sound was all multi-track recorded. It sounds great. Professionally done video. Here's a little preview of it. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's really, really fun. I was dancing in the crowd. It's the magic of wireless. So this video is kind of what inspired us to give it that live feel, because we wanted to capture that energy at the end of the night when everyone's riding that high from the concert. And we bust out this song, which is our traditional encore song. And I think we did a pretty good job at getting that. So in this crowd audio, you can hear the owner of the Evening Muse, Joe Coolman, saying, "Give us a big round of applause for BadCameo." Let's see if we can find that.
So it's for you all.
Here it is.
All right, folks, I'm going to great big round of applause for BadCameo.
So I thought that was like a nice little touch, you know, something to kind of honor a really great show that we had and to incorporate that audio, which was fun too. And we've got that at the end here one more time. So y'all were a great crowd. And we had a lot of fun making these ambiance tracks as well, because Dan, Londo, and I, we all gathered around a microphone with like some glasses, some bottles, and just hooting and hollering, making some noises that you would hear at like a bar or at a show or something like that. So we've got a couple quote unquote bar tracks that we made. And at the end, you can hear Dan say "Freebird" somewhere in there. So take a listen for that. It's pretty funny.
Thank you, BadCameo.
And that's me making the loudest yeet possible. There's Dan on Freebird. But yeah, we had a blast with that. And we've got a video of us making that up on our TikTok, so go check us out on TikTok if you haven't already. It's all good fun right there. But yeah, let's jump into these drums now, going from the bottom up. Nothing too crazy going on drum-wise. I just kind of mic the kit up like I usually do. Double mics on everything, kick in and out, snare top and bottom on toms, etc., etc., a little room track. I did go a little more wet with the reverb than I usually do, because once again, I wanted to capture that live sound that you get at a venue with a very live room and a little washier drums. So take a listen to these drums soloed out here. Yeah, so they're big, they're meaty, they're crunchy, and they're wet. All the best things you could want out of drums. And one of my favorite parts about this drum track is the absolute shredding that Dan does at the end here. Let's listen to that on its own, because it's really something sweet. Nasty. When we heard that take, we were all freaking out. We were so excited, we just had to use it. So those are the drums in a nutshell, really. And one other thing that I did that we started doing on all our tracks recently is running it through the tape machine back there. And I talked about it a little bit in the last video, but when you run drums especially, or anything really, through a tape machine and you kind of crank it a little bit, you saturate that tape, it gives it a really nice explosive quality and compresses the drums really well. And I think that's part of what made these drums sound so just fat and crunchy, And we don't really have too much percussion or anything like that, just a simple tambourine track going through the sing-along portion here and through the ending. Just a little ornamental stuff. Once again, made the tambourine just soaked in reverb like the drums. Really wanted to get a cohesive ambiance for that. And while we were making those bar soundtracks, actually, we did some claps, little clap track here to sort of emulate, the classic clap along at a show. Reverb for days, baby. So we got drums covered. We got some ambience covered. And we got bass up next. And this bass, once again, we needed the dirt for this one. We really needed that crunchy, disgusting, distorted goodness. And what better plugin to use for that than Devil Lock? For all my mixing homies and female homies out there, we got classic Sound Toys Devil Lock. Super, it's just so raw. It's amazing. Take a listen. Oh yeah, that's the stuff we need. Without it, nothing wrong with that bass. It's clean, it gets the job done. But this gives it that attitude and really zips right through the mix. Speaking of dirty, dirty string instruments, we got some mean guitar by Londo here. Oh yeah. Doubled up in some spots. All the choruses, actually. Oh, yeah. So this guitar we recorded straight into the system via DI, and while we were tracking, we used amp sims just to kind of get in the ballpark. But when I was mixing this down, we reamped it through a Fender Deluxe for some of these tracks and a Fender Princeton chorus for some other tracks. And we just cranked the absolute shit out of it. The Fender Deluxe is a tube amp, so we sent the input in really hot to distort the preamp stage, and we had the dirty channel going, so that added further distortion. And we blasted the amp so loud that we couldn't even be in the room at the same time. we dialed the tone in, we turned the volume up, walked away, closed the door, sealed it in, and recorded it. It was really, really loud. The whole building was shaking, but it gave us that breaking up, crunchy tone that we were looking for. Check out just the doubled rhythm guitar at the choruses. It's huge. Especially when we add in the lead sound on top, like you heard in the intro. That's some Allman Brothers goodness right there. And then, as you already heard, we doubled up that with a harmony. So once again on the guitar, I went pretty heavy on the reverb, but I started with just some room sound, not a full-on long-tailed, plate reverb or anything like that, but one of my secret sauces for getting that pleasant room sound without necessarily being a very obvious audible reverb is Ocean Way by Universal Audio. And this is a sweet plugin. They captured an impulse response of Ocean Way Studios, their live room here that you can see in the picture. And there's two options for which room. But they've got all sorts of different presets for like drums, strings, all that kind of stuff. And it sounds really, really good. Sometimes that emulation stuff can be a little hit or miss, but this is a great one if you're in the Universal Audio ecosystem. They've got different mics and all that stuff. But here it is dry without it. Really clean. Well, as far as ambiance. And with. It's subtle, but it really makes the amp sound like it's in a big, luscious live room. Because what we did with the guitar was we just close mic'd it. You know, we took the room out of our equation. We have a pretty small tracking space, so it's not like the room is going to impart a sound on its own. So we captured it as dry as possible. Then we sort of gave it that flavor. Now, on top of that, I sent that amp sound through other reverbs to give it that like obvious reverb that we also wanted. You can hear the long tail. And that's just the built-in Pro Tools reverb. You don't need to spend a ton of money on anything expensive to, get that great sound. So that's the guitar in a nutshell. We've got a few little extra tracks here just to kind of double things up, but very simple. We just wanted to capture that tone, get that live sound, and I think we did just that. All right, let's move on to keyboards now. Usually we have a lot of different things going on with our keyboards. Synths, organs, electric pianos, you name it. But this one was pretty bare bones, which was a lot of fun to do because I could just lay in, have fun, not worry about anything too crazy. And the backbone of the keyboard section is definitely the Hammond organ. Crunchy as hell. And all that is a Hammond emulation by Arturia, I believe, with a lot of distortion on it through a fast Leslie. And on top of that, I use this Pro Tools stock lo-fi plugin to just give it even more distortion and saturation, as you can see here. Just adds a great, great crunch that you hear on like classic rock records and that kind of thing. So nothing crazy there, just holding some chords, really gives it a nice sheen. And pretty much throughout the whole track, I've got some piano going here, and that's just my Yamaha upright. I just put up two biodynamic M160 ribbon microphones in front of it in stereo and just went for it. Nothing too crazy processing-wise going on here. Just a little compression to bring out that attack. The piano's real plucky. And I'll put a picture up here. And what I did was I took the lid off the piano, the lid that sort of like blocks the hammers, so that way I could put the mics right up in there and get that attack. And a little reverb on it. Sounds awesome. So I sort of shied away from using a virtual piano on this one because I didn't want it to sound too clean and too pristine. This piano is a couple cents flat of true concert pitch, which I thought worked really well for this because it sounds like a sort of honky-tonk piano that you would find at a venue or in a bar just lying around, not perfectly in tune. The piano is in tune with itself, so it didn't sound bad at all, but it helped it to just kind of sit in a way that I wanted it to that wasn't computer perfect, if that makes sense. And in the last chorus, we got this classic rock and roll. That's exciting stuff. You got to save the juice like that for the last chorus and give it one last push. And there were a few little flourishes I threw in. I put a little mellotron here on a string sound for some of the walk-ups and the last chorus. It's really, really subtle in the track, but let's hear it on its own just for fun. And I just did it for that one walk-up to build a little tension before the second chorus. And in the last chorus, it's kind of just holding the chords, giving a little extra. Nice delay. And so there was one last thing on keyboard I did. And during the shredding, it sort of sounds like a guitar, but if you don't know, actually, let's listen to it in context real quick, and then I'll play it on its own. So that wah-wah guitar sound is actually a synthesizer. And it was put through a signal chain a lot like what a guitar would have been put through. So there's distortion on it, reverb, of course, naturally. And the modulation wheel is set to act like a wah pedal. So instead of stepping on a pedal, I was just moving the mod wheel to open it up when I wanted it to give that wah-wah. So let's check that out on its own. Makes a pretty convincing guitar sound. If you play guitar or keyboard, you'll definitely be able to tell, of course, but I thought that was kind of a cool little shredding thing kind of happening over the drums while they were doing their thing there and just going absolutely ham. All right, let's talk vocals. So this is the first ever song actually that we've had any explicit material in, believe it or not. So a new experience for us was making a clean version of the track for radio, anything like that, and a dirty version. So what we did was we recorded the track dirty originally as intended, and then we only punched in the words that were the dirty words to get a clean version. So that way there was as much integrity between the two tracks as possible. And the vocals here are pretty simple. Once again, I used Devil Lock here to get that grit, maybe not to the extent that I did with the bass guitar. But let's check out one of these choruses and see what that sounds like.
Tell me, babe, what am I supposed to do when I'm with you?
Yeah.
Get drunk and shit, fuck all night. What am I supposed to do?
I just love a little bit of that Devil Lock. It gives it such a nice, I don't even know. It's just the perfect dirt, I think. Yeah, for this track, it's all over it. And same deal here. Plenty of delay, plenty of reverb, give it a live sound. And one thing that I did a little differently was I gave longer delays just to certain words to sort of bring those out. And I've got a word delay track right here. So what I did was I copied the lead vocal. I deleted everything except the words that I wanted to actually like repeat longer. So it's I think it's a quarter note delay. Yeah, quarter note delay. But the problem is if you run your entire vocal track through it, words are going to start piling up on each other, especially with a delay that long. So by trimming out the words you don't want to delay, you get a lot cleaner sound. So take a listen to right here. You'll hear this repeating in quarter notes kind of after.
We're dancing Saturday night to the rock and roll, feeling alright. BadCameo.
So that's a neat little trick. You hear that in pop all the time. You know, certain words at the end of phrases will sort of keep echoing into the space in between. And so that's how I go about it. I'm sure there are many different ways, but that's a nice little trick I like to use from time to time. And the lead vocal track is doing pretty much all the heavy lifting, you know. Londa did a killer job. And one thing we did a little differently this time as well, actually, was recording our vocals through this mic here. Let me zoom in. And this is a Sennheiser 421. And if you are in audio engineering or recording or anything like that, or even if you just play live, you've probably seen these mics on toms or on guitar cabinets or bass cabinets, sometimes even kick drums. But these days, I don't see these on vocals too often. But back in the 70s and 80s, you would see these on singers all the time. They were silver. They were a little different. But so I kind of wanted to have a little old school flair. So we used this mic, which we had never done on a vocal track before. So that was fun. And we also used that mic on the toms for this, since we had multi-tracked. So that was a cool experiment that I think paid off well. And it complemented his voice nicely. It was nice and clear, but without being overly crisp like a condenser might be. You know, for this song, I think a condenser would have been too accurate, too pristine. So we opted for the dynamic on this one. And we got a little bit of harmony going on in only the last chorus. It's really, really simple. Take a listen to those two together.
Fuck all night. What am I supposed to do when I'm with you? I get drunk as shit.
That on the background is me yelling over an excited take. That was pretty funny. Like I said, we wanted to have that live feel, so we left in some of the character and the rawness in these tracks, as opposed to, you know, perfectly editing everything, cleaning it all up, all that sort of thing. So that's the lead vocals in a nutshell. I've got some delay on it and a nice long plate reverb with distortion on the reverb to just keep giving it that flavor. So we talked about the ambiance already. That was really, really fun to do. But probably the most fun we had throughout this entire thing was doing the gang vocals. And we did 25 tracks worth of gang vocals to capture that sing-along. So let's listen to those real quick on their own.
What am I supposed to do when I'm with you? Get drunk as shit. Fuck all night. What am I supposed to do when I'm with you? Get drunk as shit. Fuck all night.
These were an absolute blast. I'm laughing just thinking about doing these. So it started out that Londo and I were just, you know, singing around a microphone together, him and I, and we were doing these takes, you know, stacking up a bunch of vocals. And after about, 9 or 10 tracks, we tried all sorts of different things. We did tracks with just him singing, tracks with just me singing, tracks with both of us holding a microphone at different distances. And it was making good progress, right? But something was still missing. You know, it was only two guys, and we could stack it up as much as we want, but, you know, there were only so many varieties that just two of us could do. So we started to use a little vari speed to sort of like bring out different tonal qualities in our voice. And I think I talked about vari speed a little bit in the last breakdown, but as a quick recap, vari speed is when you speed up or slow down the track and you record at that different tempo. And then when you put the track back to its normal speed, your voice sounds different. So let me find a quick example of one of those.
What am I supposed to do when I'm with you? Get drunk as shit.
Yeah, that's one. So I'm not honestly sure if that's me or Londo, but you can hear how the vocal has like a higher pitched, almost feminine quality to it. So that was one way we got some more layers. but we still weren't quite getting what we needed. So I called up my sister and I said, hey, Julia, do you want to come sing backup vocals? Like, we need female voices to make this a convincing, choir gang vocal sound. And she said, sure, yeah, we'll come on over. And when she heard the very speed of us singing, she just lost it. It was so funny. We were in here laughing and laughing and laughing, just cracking up through all these takes. So all that laughter in there is genuine hilarity just from hearing all these like crazy sped up and slowed down vocals. Let me find some more because it's really funny.
What am I supposed to do when I'm with you?
It's great.
Get drunk as shit. Fuck all night.
It's like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
What am I supposed to do?
When I'm with you.
And so those are some of the sped up ones. And we have slowed down ones too, which are really funny.
Fuck all night. Woo! What am I supposed to do?
Oh my God.
Fuck all night.
That's my sister.
What am I supposed to do? When I'm with you. Get drunk.
These are just so funny to listen to on their own.
When I'm with you. Get drunk as shit. When I'm with you.
Drink up, bitch. Get drunk.
That's me saying, drink up, bitch. So we had to give this the most accurate bar feel possible. It's really important.
What am I supposed to do? When I'm with you. Get drunk as shit.
So these were so fun.
What am I supposed to do when I'm with you?
Get drunk as shit.
Fuck all night. What am I supposed to do?
So this is probably one of the funniest ones. My sister's voice slowed down and she just sounds like huge. It's hilarious.
What am I supposed to do?
So that was really a great time. And as you heard, I think we pulled it off. We had to put a little reverb on it to kind of put it in the same room as everything else. But that is the song in a nutshell. We mixed it all together, did a little light processing, or not so light in some cases. And this was mastered to tape, like many of our recent songs. So I think we pulled it off. I think we got that live sound that we wanted. We pulled audio from a real live show, which is a great little Easter egg, for those who were there or have been to any of our shows. And we just had a blast with this one. So we hope you enjoy listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. So with that, I'm signing off and enjoy the track.